section 2-2-1, 2-2-202, 2-3-214 NCA. All members of the board and public in attendance are advised that the public portions of this meeting will be recorded in both an audio and video format. Cameras and recording devices are placed throughout the meeting room to complete these recordings. Everyone in attendance is reminded to honor basic rules of decorum during the meeting and guidance associated with providing public comment as stated in policy 1420. By remaining in the meeting, those present consent being recorded and displayed in the footage that will be posted on the school district's website. Welcome again. There'll be an opportunity for comment or community comment on non-agenda items at the end. Start with the administrator report.
Okay, last night you get a chance to read through some of these. They've got some kind of neat things going on. They've got a legal buddy mentoring program. Talked about parent teacher conferences a little bit, and then they had Northeast Arts came in and did a presentation for the students. Central staff spotlight. So the two staff members, classified staff was Mr. Bailey for this month, and certified staff member was Ms. Eckel. And then they were continuing on with their state testing. Moving on to the middle school, they had a lot of different kind of clubs that they had like their science Olympiad, they went and competed. The academic Olympic team went and competed. Their math competition, I believe that was in Glasgow. So they had a bunch of those types of activities going on last month. Starting on page 5, this would be something if you want to read about what the administrators did when we sent them down to the national conference. Mr. Dennison put together kind of what they did day by day. So a lot of good information involved there.
I see the middle school, that's the sign, page 4.
Yes, yep. So I actually went and dropped that off. I signed that and got that dropped off today. They worked on signage, so it wouldn't have a big Yellowstone Bank sign on the bottom of it. I think it came out like $49,000. So nice. They're going to pay for sign, installation of the sign. We have to pick up the cost of whatever moving forward with it, which, so that's kind of been overdue. That thing got hit, I think, back in like 2014, and it got vandalized in between. It started to get not real. I mean, the actual reading of it wasn't great. So that was good. And it's always great to have different partnerships with different businesses in town. So they've been looking for opportunities, I think, to help us out. So they help us out there. So excited to get that going. Ken Stennis is kind of heading that project with them. High school. Mr. Gadsden talked a little bit about starting to look for replacing Mr. Lee. So we're looking, I mean, that'll be a position that'll probably be, you might find some candidates, but we're trying to kind of actively go out and seek somebody. Like I know one that ended up taking the job in Glasgow. So I mean, we're reaching out. We've been actively, seeking people out, but that'll be one that might be kind of challenging to fill. They finished up their RBHI, that's the mental health screeners that they run a couple times a year. And then, and I'll give a little bit of an update on the AC project later. Instead of giving you, in the packet, instead of giving you the time frame for that, I'm just going to email that to you so you'll have it whenever you want to take a look at that. Special ed coordinator report, talked about child time. We had 95 children that they screened this year compared to last year, so that compared to 63 last year, so we had quite a few more there. And then Mrs. Munson talks about hopefully we're finding a replacement. We've got 3, we're short. Next year we'll be short. If the year started now, we would be short 3 full-time special education teachers, so we'll be actively recruiting for that as well. Mr. Barnhart talked about curriculum and then traffic ed. As he stepped down from that coordinator position, we'll have to kind of see what changes that brings to have that and step up to us. Okay, superintendent report.
So what are we doing on the bathroom stalls in the high school?
500 Wayne girls bathroom stalls at the point where those have been in rough shape for about a while.
Is there an opportunity for, like, to have two people do that AV job? Like, if you have one individual that doesn't want to do the scheduling, but just wants to do the facilitation of it?
Yeah, I think we probably look into that. I do know right now we have a couple people that are interested potentially. I'm going to meet with some of them just to kind of talk about the details of it and get passionate about it. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it. The middle school portion of it can get a little bit, you know, they do take care of some of that. They do ask the middle school principal to take care of some of those events too. That maybe something we could give a stipend for if we did like a middle school lady just to keep that there. I know they do that in other schools. But, and the other thing we're going to talk about is what kind of a package we want to offer with that. Because I know Chris, I think he did, which would have been technically like when you get your 10-year year of teaching, we need to give him the medical package for that. I don't know if that's something out the right way, like depending on experience, but we can certainly look at some of those options too. So yeah, some schools probably could split. I know for a while in Livingston, they have two ADs and one did like the scheduling, the other one prepared the activities portion of it. But yeah, it'll kind of depend, I think, on the candidate pool and what they're willing to do up front. Okay. Any other questions before I start superintendent report? Okay, enrollment overall in April we're sitting at 1,249. We're up 10 from last month, which is 1,239. And you can see that we're up 5 from August of this year. So enrollment's actually kind of stabilized, which is good to see. I know when you're sitting at 1,300 and all of a sudden we're at 1,270 and then 1,250, which is starting to, so hopefully this is kind of where we run a lot. We have consistency there. Calendar of events, we have a lot of things going on right now between baseball, track, softball, and then music concerts going to be coming up here. So talking with Brenda the other day, there's still, it's like you'd think this wouldn't be a busy time of the year, but it still is. I know like gymnastics was just in the gym this last weekend. Dance, I'm sure they'll be coming up as well. So still a pretty busy time. Strategic plan, graduate profile, OPI accreditation, professional development plan. The state's going to be sending out preliminary reports from the district accreditation submitted on April 18th. So that was everything that we submitted for accreditation. That should be coming in this week. And then we got 10 days to turn around and make any corrections that they have on those. So hopefully we don't have a ton to correct. We do know that there's going to be a couple areas just based off of teacher licensing that we're not going to be able to fix, but for the most part, we should be in pretty good shape with those. Curriculum, district admin team met on Tuesday, March 11th, 25th, Tuesday, April 1st, and 8th. We talked about the next steps in the Atlas program. The staff was getting training on vertical alignment components of Atlas. So we'll continue to work on some vertical alignment probably for the rest of this year. And the next summer, we're going to meet with the lead team and potentially start looking at a lesson plan template. Discuss some current staffing needs for the 25-26 school year. Honestly, and I know Sarah had mentioned, I have quite a few reservations, but as you start to put that together, the people that we've interviewed and we have some pending job offers out there, we're not in terrible shape in all jobs, and we're not short of offers. So, especially for where we're at right now. You know, the people like Wilson and some of them are still short of offers. So we're in pretty good shape right now. We also met on Tuesday, April 1st. The district threat assessment team met to discuss the process and findings of an assessment at the west side. After discussing the findings of the investigation, an explanation on the accommodations put in place to determine that this assessment was executed without error, decisions about a resolution. And the last thing that we talked about was we're starting to get our PIR plan put together for next school year. Mr. Barnhart was working on some professional development for newer teachers with classroom management. We're going to see if we can get somebody out the week of registration to do that, and then we'll also open that up to any area schools or any teachers in our district that are wanting extra classroom management training. So that's something that I think would be beneficial to our new staff. Buildings and grounds, all of that is pretty much the same. As you see when you go down to all schools at the bottom, driver's education vehicle was delivered. We got put the brake in and they got that delivered. So Action Auto came through for us. They got it in actually sooner than we thought we were going to get it. So high school ADA project. So this project is going to start the Tuesday after our last day of school. I believe it's 27th, 28th, something like that. They're gonna, so we work with them. They're going to take a 1-week pause in June. Their camp they'll be able to go on. The one thing that might give us, as you look at the tech team, and I talked with Nathan a little bit, they're going to try to go in and get all the wiring located that very first week after school's out on that end of the high school, because that's going to be shut down. And that 1 week that it's open might give them the ability to go in and get the intercom set up on that end of the building, if everything works perfect. So then that way, as soon as school starts, we're hoping we'll have the intercom and bells will all be functional at the high school or the first day of school. So really that 1 week that they're taking off might be beneficial for the IT team to be able to get that project done. Yes.
One addition on that is speaking with the electrician who's coming in to work on this, or the subcontractor, they are pulling down all but 11 of the lights. So I did ask that they put a bid together to see what it would cost to replace them with LED. That's something that isn't done, it wasn't done in the efficiency crossover. They're going to take them off the ceiling anyway and eventually have to put them back up. So it might be the time to look at that. I am looking currently at some grant opportunities through the MU where they help do like a cost share essentially per ballast that goes back up. But so hopefully I'll have something for you for the main meeting as we're still waiting on the type of numbers. I need fixture types to even talk to them about that opportunity since they provide dollars.
So I think many of you were on the board when we were on the King Screen to do the energy audit on the school. So we were supposed to put LED lights in there then. And what ended up happening is a bunch of our lights went out before the 2C tournament. They couldn't get LEDs in, so they replaced all of the others. They could get in, so they never ended up getting done. So this is probably a good opportunity to do that, just for the efficiency side of it. But we'll see what we can get as far as grants and some other things. And then along with AC project, and I mentioned this, I'm just going to email you that schedule. It's supposed to be done, the last day that they have on the schedule is August 8th. Brenda's concern is that's not going to give her a ton of time to get the gym floor ready, the gym itself ready, cleaned up, and all that for volleyball practice to start around that time. So that was her one concern. They might have to go to the middle school for a couple of days. I know this last year we were doing the gym floor when basketball started, and we were at the middle school and Central for quite a few days. So sometimes you just got to make it work. Legislative update. So this is going to become a pretty quick process. The STARS Act is on the Senate floor. Everybody keeps saying that they're hopeful that this is going to pass. I'm still hopeful that it passes. SAM, MQEC, and FTSB are very confident that it's going to pass. So what that's going to require of us is we're going to have to create an MOU, or we're going to have to get an MOU signed with the union stating that we will meet the minimum requirements of the STARS Act, and what it caps out at 70%. So your base pay has to be 70% of your average pay at year 5. So I think the first year with this, which we qualify to get this right away, it's a little over, it's about $550,000. So it's not like it's just a small amount of money. So I do have an MOU that I've drafted and sent to the SEA president for them to take a look at, and I'm sure we'll probably get something back them. I don't want to go through a really long negotiation period when we open these things up, because anytime you do an MOU, it does open the door for adding items and all of that. The only thing that I added extra is our mentee program. The mentees, they haven't had a pay increase since the program started. So I did add, I think they get $800 for the year to be a mentor for another teacher. So in the MOU, I increased that to $1,000, and if they do an additional teacher, they get another $500, so it'll be $1,500 instead of the $1,000 that they get. So that was the only thing that I have on there. That doesn't mean that we have to do that, but it was just an example of what that could look like for them. So that's really probably the biggest one out there right now. The other one that was kind of interesting that it looks like it passed was that House Bill 744, and that was the one with speech pathologists. So you couldn't have speech aids anymore. You had to have somebody that was licensed. And they had a program that cost like $12,000 for them to go through, which we would probably have to try to compensate for pay somehow, and then their pay would obviously increase with their qualifications. So it looks like they have a bill now that you're going to do a few speeches, kind of the way that we're doing it right now. So that was kind of a big one actually for us financially. It doesn't impact a lot of the schools around us because they're part of the co-op, and the co-op has to deal with all of that, but it's tough to find speech pathologists, first of all, and then trying to find aides in the classroom is challenging as well. So that's a good one. School safety committee met on Tuesday, April 1st to review incident data and discuss some summer plans. So we have all the head custodians, the building principals, and the transportation director on that committee. On page 17, we have a total of our incidents from the beginning of the year. So all of these get reported in that flow forms. Our tech team's done an awesome job with flow forms, creating these charts so they submit and then they go to the next person, and they do their thing and go to the next person. So you can see like at Westside, last year they had 40 people. This year to date they're sitting at 33. Those but she just updated those. The only one, you're supposed to submit these anytime you have, like even as a coach, you have an athlete that's sprained or ankle, you're supposed to do that. So it looks like we had a good year at the middle school, not having any. Yeah, so that's just good data for us. And then really the other big one, you look at the employee injury totals, so you can potentially find places for like falls in some areas that we can kind of clean up over the summer for projects on that. So that's the superintendent report. Oh, sorry. Almost. Open positions, missing the front part. You can kind of take a look at those. Like I said, it looks like a lot. We'll be actually crossing some of those off the list even tonight. Resignations, that would be Nick Escalera. He was a probationary employee, and then Sandy Sullivan officially from middle school English. Christy Pierce, high school play and drama coach. Tia Lewis, middle school guidance counselor. Tom Barnhart, program director. Julie Gaddy, part-time Westside secretary. David McDonald, high school science. Lynn McDonald, high school science. Sheldon Grand, route driver. Chrisley, activities director. Michelle Sparks, Westside speech aid. Joe Alderson, school psychologist. And Lindy Bauer, grade teacher. And then we're transferring Melissa Bauman to middle school para. And Nick Kuz, middle school special. Okay, consent agenda starting on page 10, March meeting minutes. Those, and then we start with financial report starting on page 38 in the check register. There's some canceled checks in there on page 40 for one canceled And then the fund summary for the claim check registry starts on page 41. So the budget fund report of expenditures on page 42. Page 43, you can see the percentage of money collected for those budget items. Page 44 would be the general fund revenue received versus anticipated. 45 is the 11-month comparison through February. 46 is cash balances. 47 is the start of the ASPC accounts. Those would be your fund balances. And then the big one with ASB is your page. On page 60, so you can see on the bottom of that, Chris is recommending that we merge the divisional A attorneys, the state MHSAA, the C divisional attorneys, and the PC girls before the tax. For all accounts, he wants to merge those accounts. I'm talking with Nikki since Tracy's not, she thinks that would probably make more sense as well. So, I think it's probably pretty good. Page 61 is the start of all your classified staff. So that's a list of all of them. So that runs to page 63. On page 64, those will be your extended day contracts. We did leave the one in there for the middle school counselor to approve. It's going to be the same number of days, so I have to find a name in there to approve that contract. On page 65, this is kind of a unique time I'm going to be doing this. It's not a district request to do attendance in the district. So this is a student in transition, and we are the district of record. So by federal and state law, we have to go out and attend to that situation. When you're ready, I will start reading the consent agenda. Okay, approval minutes. All recorded board meeting minutes must be reviewed and approved at the following board meetings. You review the meeting minutes. Please make note of any additions or changes that need to be made. I recommend to approve the board meeting minutes for the board meeting on 3/10/25 with any noted or necessary upon changes. Warrants and claims in accordance with board policy 7326. All financial obligations or disbursements must be properly documented. The documentation must specifically describe the goods, services required in the proper budget items for appropriation. Recommend to approve all claims, payments, and cancellations as presented. ASB accounts transfers in accordance with board policy 7425. The board of trustees shall conduct a monthly review of the ASB account balances reported by the deputy fund custodian. Recommend to approve the ASB balances, transfer payments, and voided checks as presented above. 2025-26 classified staff contract renewals. Recommend to approve the 25-26 classified contract as presented. Renewal of the extended day contracts for 2025-26. So recommend to approve the 25-26 extended day contract as presented. 24-25 out-of-district student attendance agreement. I recommend to approve the out-of-district attendance agreement to ensure state and federal compliance of the student day transition. New hires, Kayla Axman, third grade teacher, Georgia Hoffman, middle school principal, Catalina Langwald, high school science teacher, Gabe Enrique, the central school student custodian, and Katie Drudd, central school student custodian. Recommend to approve the employment of the recommended hires for the 25-26 school year pending reference and background checks. And I can talk about the middle school principal position once we finish up.
The motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So moved. Second. Moved and second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so middle school principal position. So we had, let's see, myself and Carl, Danny, Tom, and Sarah were on that committee. So we had 5 candidates. We interviewed all 5 of them. Mrs. Johnson decided to pull her application interviews over a 2-day period and move forward. Okay, discussion action agenda? All right, so first we have the non-renewal of a non-tenured teacher contract A. So I'm asking the board to approve my recommendation to non-renew the list of teachers without cause for the 25-26 school year. Eddie Miller, middle school special education teacher. I recommend the board non-renew the contract for Eddie Miller without cause for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, I have a motion that the board of trustees not renew the employment contract with Eddie Miller for the 2025-2026 school year without cause in accordance with section 20-4-206 content code. Do I have a second? Okay. The motion having been made and seconded, we will go to discussion. The public is permitted to comment on the motion presently before the board. Please keep in mind that non-tenured teachers may be non-renewed without cause. This means that the teacher is a probationary employee that may be non-renewed without providing cause or the reason for non-renewal. As such, any public comment must remain germane to the motion. This means that a person may state whether they support the motion to non-renew or oppose the motion to non-renew. The board and the public will not get into discussion about performance or start speculating about the reasons for the recommendation. The board's function on a motion for non-renewal of a non-tenured employee without cause is to accept or reject the motion, so there may be limited board discussion. At no time will there be a closed session on this. Any comments? Statements? Okay, for moving second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, non-renewal non-tenured teacher contract B. I'm asking the board to approve my recommendation to non-renew the listed teacher without cause for the 25-26 school year. Putting all middle school math teachers. I recommend the board non-renew the contract with all without cause for the 25-26 school year.
Okay, we have a motion that the board of trustees not renew the employment contract with Quentin Ondall for the 2025-2026 school year without cause in accordance with section 20-4-206. I'm going to vote. Is there a second? Second. Okay. The motion has been made and seconded. We will go to discussion. The public is permitted to comment on the motion presently before the board. Please keep in mind that the non-tenured teacher may be non-renewed without cause. It means that the teacher is a probationary employee that may be non-renewed without providing cause or the reasons for non-renewal. As such, any public comment must remain germane to the motion. This means that a person may state whether they support the motion to non-renew or oppose the motion to non-renew. The board and the public will not get into discussion about performance or start speculating about the reasons for the recommendation. The board's function on the motion for non-renewal of a non-tenured employee without cause is to accept or reject the motion, so there may be limited board discussion. At no time will there be a closed session on this. Any comments? Okay, we'll move to second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Quick job description. So with the Stars Act, you actually get to include your district clerk in that count. In order to do so, you have some requirements of their job description. I've highlighted those in green, and I just eliminated that same piece that we have. If you go through these, most of what we have, there are a lot of things. And then the one piece that we did add at the top, which I think is probably the most important, is the universal obligations and expectations for each staff member. That's on page 70. You can see that in that section they added put the safety, health, and well-being of students at the forefront of all actions, job responsibilities, and decisions, and 2, undertake all duties in alignment with the district's strategic plan. So that was probably the So, with that, I recommend to approve the first reading of the district clerk job description.
A motion to approve first reading of the district clerk's job description. So moved. No second. Moving second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so all district job descriptions, especially for your certified staff, We need to include the wording on page 75 that's highlighted in green, which is exactly the same as I just read from the other one. So I just put a sample on here so you can see where that's going to go. And with that one, I recommend you approve the above language to add to all job descriptions.
So moved. Second.
Second, moving second. Any further discussion?
All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the last thing on the agenda, you can see, I emailed the insurance committee to let them know on the increase for the JPTEDMS for the 25-26 school year that we agreed last fall to not go today. So this was, we knew going into this was going to be the direction that we were going to go. The rate increase on the insurance contract reflects a 13.2% increase from the previous school year. Also would recommend to continue coverage of United Heritage provision of life insurance and supplemental life, as well as a disability agreement with Unum, as the rates for 25-26 will remain the same as for the rates. My recommendation is I recommend the board approve the one-year agreement with EDMS, JPT, Unum, and United Heritage.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? I'll second. Been moved and second. Any further discussion? Are we year to year with these? I know what you passed it.
They used to, I think they have to year to year now. It's my understanding of that.
Okay. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Yeah.
So items for next agenda, we'll have the MOU. We do have the organization and the association contracts. I'll talk about some of the contracts. We will have the winter coaching renewals, the recommendations, and then we'll end up, there's a number of contracts that we're like with MTSU and some of those that we'll have on next agenda. So that next week will be a little bit longer.
That's everything. All right. Anyone else have anything?
Move.